Good morning, guys. Welcome to Truth and Transparency. Again, sorry for the mix up there. I had two different lives scheduled by accident. The Idaho 4 live was supposed to be tonight at 9 p.m. prime time. So, again, welcome. Let's begin. Again, home team, do me a favor at the end of your stay. Hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs down. The C doesn't stand for Canton. Stands for Cleveland. So again, welcome, good morning. Here we go.
Folks, I know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you? All right. Who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
You haven't been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay. Drive careful, okay?
Thank you.
This is what the other group had that ran away.
Oh, really? You just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car and the other one.
It's truly for the win.
So there was two different discs, okay? They all knew about it.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
I see noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be in trouble.
Yes, in trouble indeed. All right. Let's get it going. Again, good morning. Upload all the birthdays out there too. Mods, love you. Thank you for being here. Again, the C stands for Cleveland. Don't get it twisted. It's not stand for Canton. So again, good morning. Good morning. Made some additions to the timeline with an important addition for those of you guys that are new and following the case. It is at 12:41. There is a voice message received from John's phone, sent from Karen's phone, and that is actually, you can hear the heels. Oh, that's not right. You can hear the heels and the garage, and that's all taking place at John's house. Now, it's going to take you so much time to get to John's house from 34 Fairview. And something that was interesting is that they don't ever want to talk about, there shouldn't be that many cars out, that they couldn't find this vehicle. The state never talks about it. So this vehicle was not on any cameras. You would have to leave, I roughly said, at like 12:33 to get back there by 12:41. Wanted to hear what you guys thought about that. Again, in order to be back at, I'm going to pull up the Google Maps, but in order to be back at John's place for Karen leaving 34 Fairview, you don't just poof get there at 12:41. You have to leave the one place, to get to the other place. And it's interesting to me that everybody on the other side was all concerned about this 12:30 timeline of Colin being home. He had to be home at 12:30. And that's just interesting to me, because when people are trying to cover things up, before they would know, they have prior knowledge. So they would know that when something was to come out, we already have to be on it that Colin was home or out of there or whatever. And that's what I think is most interesting, is that they knew to have Colin home at 12:30 when they're going on with their statements in the beginning. And that time frame is actually really, really crucial, because I believe that 12:31 is when this went down, based on the data. Okay, my beliefs are straight from the data, and I believe it's accurate. I believe that it's accurate because, the Murdoch murders literally nailed his ass to the wall because of the data. They convicted him because of the data. The Snapchat video, then him walking all over the house, allegedly taking a nap, doing this and that. But it was the data that they used in that trial that pinned that man. So I believe it would also be the data in this trial, if there even is a trial, to free Karen Reed. So again, welcome. Yes, and Paul, yes, the prosecution is now changing up some of their story. And they have to, base off of, in my opinion, Jen McCabe's cell phone data. Jen McCabe, I don't know, I mean, for those of you guys that are new, when this all happened, all the initial reports that Canton actually did are going to be very valuable. The reports of a guy by the name of Officer Link, he straight up said, let me go to the data here. Okay. When he put it in his supplemental report, this is where, when he gets on scene, he contacts state police. And in his actual write-up and report, he says that Proctor was notified at 6:38, and he called him back just a couple minutes later. So Proctor knew, but they were saying that Proctor didn't get there to the scene, allegedly. That didn't happen until way later. So much so that Jen at 9 a.m., based on the reports, the actual written up report by Canton, Jen McCabe gets on her phone and she calls the police and she says, will you guys come back out here? Now, you don't call the police if there's in fact people at your house that are the police. Okay. So you get a phone call, or I'm sorry, you make a phone call and you're asking the police to come back at 9 a.m. because you need to tell them something. So that's telling me that the police were not even there at the house anymore at 9 a.m. Is you had to call them back. And this is when she wanted to let these two officers know that she had, and I'm sure everybody knows, or I'm sure your police officers overheard that what Karen was saying about the I hit him. And actually, it wasn't a police officer that overheard that. But that is actually in a written up report that Karen's trying to say that I think a police officer would have heard that. No. There is no Canton police officer that actually writes in his own words, I heard Karen Reed say this. What is actually written up by Canton police is that she was hysterical, that they put her in a police car like right away to warm her up, calm her down. It was never a Canton police officer that said that. In fact, I want to know, and I think everybody should really want to deep dive this part of it, when they decided to all of a sudden lie about Karen Reed saying that she was going to commit suicide and that she was suicidal. So much so that how did that get back to Canton Police Department or in the radio that they then called Carrie Roberts to bring Karen back to the scene so that we could transport her in an ambulance to the hospital. Wait, what? Why? Oh, because you guys wanted to get her blood for the purpose of what would then ensue is, yeah, she was drunk. How could it possibly be that if Karen gets in Robert's vehicle to be taken back, here, take her out of here. That's what Cam said. She's just get her home. How in the world could she be in Robert's vehicle and Roberts overhears her with her dad on the phone talking about suicide? How would that possibly be able to get relayed to dispatch? How does that happen? And I thought to myself, it doesn't fucking happen. It doesn't happen unless you're going to prove to me that Roberts ever made those phone calls, which she didn't. So I want to know who put it out there that Karen Reed was suicidal and that she was talking to her dad about suicide. Because this is a very important part of it, because that fuckerage brought Karen Reed back to the scene to then be able to be transported via ambulance to the hospital. And then they did blood work on her. They gave her whatever the papers are to basically we're going to fucking cuckoo bin you. That's so important, because had somebody not lied about that, right? There is no blood alcohol test to be taken upon Karen Reed. So I went through these reports with the Canton police. They're on the timeline, right? And for the life of me, I want to know how Jen Coffindaffer, I want you to come on this channel and I want you to tell me where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? No, where in the world, when you compare the data of Jen McCabe's cell phone and her watch, which was on her, okay, and you compare that to the cell phone of John O'Keefe, and you see that they are simultaneously moving as soon as she gets to the body, okay? John's phone does not move from 12:31 all the way until 6:04 before police. Okay, wait, was blood alcohol? Yes. Yes, it was. That's how they got that. They got that, Katie, because they got her back to the scene. She'd already left with Roberts. They then got her, called up Roberts to say, bring her back. It's very important. Trust me, I'm going to deep dive the fuck out of it to show you guys how important that is, because there's lies. They got her back to the scene to then be transported in an ambulance to go to the hospital. But Jen Coffindaffer wants to talk about I want to talk about facts. His phone does not move from 12:31 a.m. until 6:04 a.m. At the same time that none other than Jen McCabe is literally, they get to the scene, she gets out of the vehicle, Jen McCabe, not with her cell phone, because it was like, oh my God, you're flying out of the car. It's not even her car. She has her watch. She has her watch on. So she goes, boom, they all get out of the car. They all, if you go through every single report, not one officer says they're blowing a leaf blower. They're trying to, no officer from Canton says that they ever see a cell phone. Nada. Everybody says, oh, it was with a cop. Oh, it was CPR pumping or whatever. Y'all are wild. No, that phone was picked up. Off the ground, taken out of his pocket, and literally as Jen McCabe is moving, the phone starts moving. So much so that I want to know who lives around 34 Fairview. Let me show you. Can't get better than this, baby. Jen's watch, 6:03. Jen's phone makes a 911 call. Jen's phone watch, because when she takes 29 steps, gets back to the vehicle. She just get back to her car, or the car, to go grab the phone to make the call. Off of Jen's phone / watch. Mainly, I always went off of her watch because the watch is on your body. From 6:04 to 6:12, 81 steps. 6:04, 6:11, 496 steps. Jen only registers 81 steps. Now, we have conflicting statements, which is amazing for Karen. We have officers saying when they arrived on scene, who was giving CPR? One of the guys says fucking Roberts was. We know that ain't true. You know what I mean? That's how pathetic the report is, like that you noted that. but he says that there was only one person giving CPR, which is important, mouth to mouth. And who would that be? It was obviously Karen. So he's going to be able to stay on the stand. Yeah, that was a mistake on my end. It wasn't Roberts. It was, Reed. It was just a typo or something. But he, in his report, when he's saying that he gets there, he only sees one person, which is important because it goes to show that Jen wasn't over the body when this officer just like rolls up. And this is all documented, literally in reports, as well as look at the data. Jen takes 81 steps. How can Jen be standing over the body and taking 81 steps? No, I do the same thing. If I'm on the phone, I start walking, I start doing this. Well, Jen calls 911, okay? While this is happening, Jen only registers 81 steps. In the same time period that John, his phone registers 496 steps, okay? No, it is not from CPR. Okay. This is from somebody passing off the cell phone. There is no report by any Canton police officer that says I received or I found the phone, I was given the phone. Okay. And this is really important because from 6:04 to 9 a.m., I can 100% show that no Canton police officer was given that phone. Nobody in law enforcement had that phone from 6:03, 6:04 until well beyond 9, but I know for a fact 9. Then I said, where is the first time that this phone is ever even mentioned? Jen McCabe. Jen McCabe. I said, what the fuck? But when? And when is it mentioned by anybody from law enforcement? Because they want to talk about the collection of evidence, okay? You have the Canton police officers helping EMS lift up John onto the stretcher, put John in, because they immediately got him out of the cold, you guys, to work on him inside the ambulance, which is so important, okay? So that means that when he was picked up, put on the stretcher, if his phone is in fact in his pocket, if he's being, stretched and walked, those would still count. If someone's carrying you while you have your phone on you, those would count as steps. There is no registration anywhere on John's, anything to do with John's phone. Let's take a look at John's phone. 496 from 6:04 to 6:11, okay? 6:15 to 6:21, 180 steps. 180 steps. You know how close that ambulance was to that body? Okay. They were working on John, right? When I say working on him, I mean literally like working on him, getting him onto the stretcher. They worked on him before law enforcement got there. Law enforcement never touched him, okay, except one person, one of the first responders, and then that's when he went back because he touched him to see that he was cold to the touch. He goes back to his vehicle, goes to get his, first aid kit, some shit, the fuck. And then as that was happening, EMS is on scene. And this is happening like within all seconds, guys. But from John's body of where it was laying to get to the ambulance would have been, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 steps, not 180. Okay. Also then here we go, Jen's phone again. Okay. The reason I want to know about who lived 34 Fairview, who lived there, who was still inside that house at the time. Phone data will tell you. Because this phone was passed off and they got it the fuck up out of that house. Okay. Jen McCabe took it up to the house and gave this to somebody. And then therefore they then took it and went. Like they had to, you're not going to sit with evidence, okay, inside your house when any normal person could think at any point in time that that house or backyard would be searched. Okay? You don't, like, you know that you got to get the fuck up out of there, right? Right. Well, they didn't realize that the motherfucking phone was on. Or if they did, they're a bunch of fucking idiots, okay? But this phone was on it, and it was calculating all of these steps. So, Jen Koffendorfer, I have a question for you. How in the world are you going to explain that in court? How are you going to explain that Karen Reed was in the back of a police car at the same time that John's laying on the ground and being put into a stretcher to be put into an ambulance, but John's phone's running all over the fucking 496 steps? That's a quarter of a mile. Who lives by that house that this wasn't driven, okay, this phone, this was walked. This phone was 100% walked and being passed off. Okay, you can't get in your car and leave if you're the Alberts, right? You got to go out the back door and go out somehow that way. Is that possible to be going out the back door? And there's it's a neighborhood that you would then go on the street behind you. Now, when I found out that there was this Ring camera footage that had 15 actionable actions that day, 15, but that they weren't there. Like the prosecution doesn't want to talk about those actions. So if I said there was 15 actions on my Ring camera, that's any time that motherfucker goes off, right? Perfect. You're going to sit here and tell me that Ring didn't go off at 12:41 when Karen Reed arrived back to the house that morning? I said, why would that be such an important thing to delete? You know, the Ring. Like, why couldn't Karen Reed, okay, have already hit John before, when she like basically left? Hello. And I said, there's something about the arriving at 12:41, okay, on that Ring. It just, there's no Ring camera of her arriving back at 12:41. Man, how do you know that she arrived back at 12:41? She calls John's phone, leaves a voicemail. In the voicemail, you hear the garage going up, and you hear her heels clicking. So, I said, okay, well, what was the original plan then? Because I believe that there was a plan, and then it got kind of sidetracked. So I believe that there was a reason that they did not want to be able to show what time she had gotten, back at home. And we're going to all ponder that this week coming up, because there's a reason, and it does not have to do with the back tail light, because the way that you would pull in, okay, you're not going to see that with that Ring. So I don't believe it's because of the tail light. I truly don't. Now, I want to know, did John O'Keefe have his keys on him? Did he have his keys, his car keys? Because normally, like, even though he took an Uber, it's just you leave with your car keys, okay? You leave. I mean, did he have his car keys on him? What did John have on his person? Because something that always is in the back of my mind is, why the fuck is John parking his SUV at his own house, okay, in the driveway versus the garage? That's always bothered me. Why was John's SUV not in the garage, but Karen's SUV was in the garage? Like, did John normally park his SUV where it was? Because the way that his house was set up with that garage and the way that it was, there's things that you just don't do as a human being, because I don't park my vehicle in areas and places where I know that it is a blind spot for yourself. Meaning, when Karen backed up and actually hit that car that morning, did Karen know that car was there? Is that car normally there? Now, let me ask you a question. If one of my plans was to hypothetically go over, because I have John O'Keefe's car keys, go over, get his car, and drive it back to the scene, okay? And then was there ever a thought process of, wait, we have his keys, should we go get his car, and should we bring it over here, and something like that, something along the lines of going and getting his car, getting it over to where his person is, and possibly even putting him in a vehicle and putting the car somewhere else. That the only reason I ask this is because what would be if you have a Ring camera and you get on and we think, okay, so what was it? When Jen McCabe took all these people home, as she claims, okay, that was a long-ass trip. That was a long-ass trip to take these people home. Look at this. I think it's on here. Okay. Jen left at 1:47, okay, a.m. And it's such a small area that you're dropping off the one person, then you would go drop off the other person, allegedly. Like, there's these two people. And they do. She stops at like these two different areas. But I still was like, this loop. And she was like, 147 to 212. 147 to 212 to get to the, like, they leave out of 334 Fairview at 147 and they get to where she was dropping off this chick at 212. I said 212. I said, what the this should take a 6-7 minute drive at max, you know? At that time of night. But it wasn't. 147 to 212. And in this little loop-de-loop that she did, she is right by John O'Keefe's house. Let me pull up my Google Earth. I know that they dropped off the two girls, guys. I get all that. The two girls, they lived a street apart. It's like boom, boom. And that's if they're saying that they truly dropped off those two girls. Just saying. Do I believe that they did? I do. But I don't believe that would have taken that long. Just like I never believed that when somebody said they gave me they were out there saying that, I said, why do people think that John didn't start walking in there until 12:31? I said, what the fuck were they all doing? Like, it's not that it takes 5 minutes to get there from that bar. Like, what's going on here? I get it. Even if you pass up the house, I was like, but that wouldn't calculate with the phone call when it was made. Like, none of that is adding up. Like, this is all just fuckerage. John made it to that house and got out of that vehicle at 12:21 a.m. No doubt about it. Was taking steps to go down or up a set of a floor, which I believe, and then he went to the bathroom, but within 5 seconds because he ran inside. But why would it take Jen McCabe from 147 until 224? And how do I know this? Because of her phone data. Let me show you. Let's see. Whoopsies. What I've been doing, guys, is looking for that extra piece of exculpatory evidence, which I believe that I found in the fact that Jen picks up that phone and I could put that phone doing that. I think that that's super important. I think that will, she didn't do that. Why are you walking around with this phone? Why did you take evidence? You're tampering with the crime scene. Like, what the fuck? But Karen Reed didn't tamper with anything. Okay. That's interesting. Sorry about that noise. Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. Wait. So I didn't believe that if Alan Jackson argues and shows that the phone was transported from the body into that house, I think that he would win his argument as far as that Jen didn't take enough steps with the phone, so therefore the phone was passed off. And if we could get the phone, data off of the people that were inside that home to see who she passed it off to, we'll then be able to follow, and it will coordinate with John O'Keefe's phone. That's the only argument that was never brought up in all the motions, is to put in the fact that that phone was passed off to, it had to be passed off because it took so many steps. That's what would get you that search warrant, the subpoena, rather, for all of their data. Then no one's ever correlated those two parts of it. So that's how you're going to be able to get the data off of those Alberts people, is to show that the phone was passed off. And it is definitely reasonable to say that who would the fuck she passed off the phone when she called her sister at 6:07 and 8 to say, here, I have his phone, take his phone, get down here. Boom. That's your 6, 7, 8 second phone call. Also, why are you taking a screenshot? Okay. Why are you taking a screenshot of a contact? Look at all this shit that goes on. As I'm pulling up to get something that I need. I want to back up for a second. Screenshot taken of Albert's contact info. Why would you need to take a screenshot of that? Did she think she was going to have her phone taken from her and she needed to send that to somebody? I mean, she takes a screenshot of his contact info. Very weird. Now, explain to me, if Jen's over here walking all over and Karen Reed is in a cop car, how Jen McCabe would hear anything the fuck that Karen Reed had to say. So for impeachment purposes, were you doing, I don't know, the Stairmaster in the car? Were you running in place with your feet? I mean, what were you doing? You clearly weren't sitting next to Karen to hear anything that she had to say, allegedly, which was all the crazy shit that you said. Oh my God, the period and the blood and just sick shit. Sick shit. People are sick. Okay. 6:26 to 6:34, 6:28 to 6:33. I mean, every time fucking John's phone's moving, Jen's, I mean, they're just, it's wild. The ambulance. This is fact, cannot be argued, that without a doubt, John was leaving the premises at 6:30 in the ambulance. Because why? It takes 17 to 19 minutes to make it to that hospital. And then John had his bracelet with his admittance on. Check this out, though. 177 steps, 2 minutes after the ambulance leaves. Okay. 6:35. She goes and does 1 floor. Now, this is something that's just interesting to me. Just because it shows the same type of data with John's phone the previous night or that early morning hours. If I go down, now according to this expert, which I'm going to have to probably slap his ass, I was always under the impression that the floors were only if you're going up, but when you come down, that it's not going to say that you that doesn't count as a flight of stairs. The expert that they used is saying that ascending or descending a flight would count as a floor. Now, I don't know if he made a mistake in that. Again, but I want a second opinion on that. While John is in the ambulance being drove, his phone is just miraculously making 192 steps. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, Jen Koppendorfer, explain that to me. And I don't want to hear that a Canton police officer has her phone or has his phone, because no Canton police officer ever put in their report that they ever got his phone. Nobody from ISP is on the scene. Okay, so explain to me how John is in a ambulance at 6:30, and at 6:36, his phone and him walk 192, or his phone is walking 192 steps. You cannot say this, that he has his phone. And in fact, Proctor says that he got the phone from the police department. The police department. Oh, wait, the police. Oh, we're that. Everybody wants to wonder why they created this second scene, you guys. It's because of the phone. Everybody wants to know, like, why are they now talking about the police department is the second scene? Well, guys, I'm going to tell you why. Take it to the bank right now. It's going to be because of the phone. But my iPhone 11 counts floors ascending, and ironically, it's always been accurate. Yeah. Ascending only. Mm-hmm. Well, Alan Jackson needs to check into that, because their expert put in paperwork that it was because it was ascending and descending. And I'm telling you, that's not adding up. And so they might want to look at their paperwork on that. Ready? Jen calls the police to come back out to the house at 9:00 in the morning. Okay? Because she had to tell them something. Couldn't do it over the phone. Needed to have them come back out there. So I thought to myself, oh, that's when the phone exchange was going to happen. And that was at 9. Okay? He doesn't go out alone. There's 2 officers that go out, but that was going to happen because they were going to give like the phone of, oh my God, we found the phone here. But lo and behold, nope, because that is not written in the reports. And in fact, it's like explicitly stated it was just about Karen Reed saying about I hit him. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull up this other one. At 6:43 to 6:55, how the fuck does John's phone go up a floor? He isn't admitted into the hospital until 6:49 on his bracelet. Okay? That's where I got that from. The picture in evidence of his bracelet. 6:49. How did he go upstairs at 6:43? What? Wait a second. 6:43 went upstairs? Yeah, he did. Is that the first time that the phone goes upstairs? John's phone? Yeah. And that's how I know that what's her tits, Jen, met her sister and passed off his phone on the first level, okay? And that phone did not go upstairs with her in her bed, okay? It never went upstairs. The only time when John's phone goes upstairs for the first time is at 6:43 to 6:55. That's when that floor was taken. Then at 7:58, it takes 3 seconds for this to happen. John's phone does another floor. Oopsies. This flight takes 3 seconds. And 1 hour after it traveled one flight from the other time up here, it does another flight. Just gonna put this in to show you how, just think about this. Okay. The Commonwealth gave a copy of John's cellular phone, which was in one flash drive, Jen McCabe's cellular phone, which was in one flash drive. Then they have the copy of the Canton Police Department scene photos. Copy of the Canton Police Department scene photos. And that was one disc. And then they have the 911 call. That was on February 8th, 2023 is when, so think about this. Think about this fucking shit right here. You're trying to like work your case. Your defense team is trying to work your case. And this all happens 2022, and you're just getting a copy of the 911 call and a copy of the phones. And now this alleged crime scene, these copy of Canton Police Department scene photos, literally dated February 8th, a year later. What? Make that make sense. Let me show you something. Video. Take a look. See right when you come in the door here, those stairs? Well, right behind those stairs is the door to go around the other side of the stairs. Like when you come in, there's those stairs. That's the door. Just so you guys can see how close the stairs are. Okay. Now, okay. iPhone 11. I want to add something in on this timeline before I forget. Okay. Um, give me 1 second. All right, approximately 6:04 a.m., I received 911 call from a woman reporting an unresponsive male party found in the snow at 34 Fairview Road. At the time, the weather was very heavy snow with air temperatures in the teens. The call was then transferred to Canton Fire, and I dispatched Sheriff and Mulaney to assist. I notified Lieutenant Gallagher and Detective Sergeant Lank, respectively, after hearing the seriousness of the call. What was the seriousness of the call? Was it the fact that there was just an unresponsive person in the snow? Or was it that there was an unresponsive Boston police, was it a police officer in the snow? Once on scene, the victim was already in the back of the ambulance, and CPR was in progress. This is Sean Goody Good. So it was very imperative for me to take everybody's statements that they said to put on this sheet to say that, okay, this officer, when he arrived and O'Keefe was already in the back of the ambulance. So then I went and listed every single person that went there, what time they got there, what time that they were notified. And that's what this first column is in B. And then in C is, if they were notified and then what time like they actually arrived. But in the reports, first responding officer saw 3 people standing over the body, felt the body, then went to get AED, but CFD already then, had arrived, took Karen to the back of another cop cruiser, so he didn't have to do anything. The guy that was dispatched at 6:05 was already on scene, dispatched at the same time. Mulaney saw one woman giving CPR. One woman at 6:05. One woman giving CPR. And that's going to be crucial. Because where were the other people? Officer Lank was called by Officer Good and told the situation and stated that it was a Boston police officer. And then I said, wait a second, what time was he called? Was he told that he was a Boston police officer when they got there or on the 911 call? I think that's important. We'll find out one day. I believe it was on the phone, by the way. And I'll tell you why. Let's see. I walked over to Karen and asked her who she was and how she ended up here. I also placed Karen in the back of my marked Cruiser 682 to warm up. Okay. Karen was hysterical and continually yelling, "Is he dead?" I kept reassuring her that Canton Fire was doing everything that they can to save his life. I asked how John ended up there, and she said, "I don't know." Yeah, she doesn't know how he ended up in the snow. Okay? Okay. So just think about that. Hey, how did he end up there? Well, I don't know. Not about how he ended up at the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did he end up there? I have no idea how the fuck he ended up in the snow. It's she answered your question. That's how I would argue that. These fucking idiots. Then I asked her if she drove here last night. It's interesting. I asked her if she drove here last night. And she stated, "I think so. Then I can't remember." At this point, I stopped asking questions because she was too upset and she wasn't able to keep her train of thought. That's going to be important. I think that's like a fair, thing to say. At this time, Detective Lank arrived on scene. So boom, I was like, okay, this had to transpire with, goody boy, before Officer or Detective Sergeant Lank arrived. Well, Lank got the phone call and arrived at 6:24. Okay. I briefed him on what had transpired so far. I then spoke to Carrie. So he's basically saying that he talked to Carrie after he briefed Lank, okay, and after he talked to Karen in the cop car where she stayed, okay? Allegedly, this is the report. I then spoke to Carrie, who stated she was contacted by her friend Karen around 5 a.m. wondering if she knew where John was. Carrie stated that she called the few hospitals and the Canton police to see if he had been transported to... Wait, excuse me? Carrie called the Canton police when? Excuse me? Come again. You guys understand there is another alleged police call, right? No? Yes? Does anybody know that? Does anybody know that? We don't even know that answer. Do you guys know that? When I was reading this, I was blown away. So wait, there's 2 police calls into Canton Police? When did Carrie call the police? Does anybody deem this important? I think it's really fucking important. Why isn't anybody talking about Carrie calling the police? Carrie, you called the police. Wait, what? Does Jen Kaffendaffer know that? Think about that. Think about that. Around 5 a.m. when Karen first calling around looking for him. You know what? I'm going to call the police. Why? I want to know if when she got off the phone, I want to see Roberts' phone records. If somebody said, think about this, you get a phone call and your friend says to you, I woke up and my boyfriend isn't here. Do you know where he is? I don't know. Let me call the police. The fuck? What are you talking about? What do you mean you don't know where he is? That's what do you mean you know where he is? He's not here. I woke up and he's not here. Hold on, let me just call the police. Let me call the hospitals. What? And this is a very important part of the story. Okay. Is this, what the fuck was Carrie saying? She called the police and she called the hospitals. Carrie, did you really call the police? Like, just your best friend calls you, or a friend, like, whatever you want to call them. I can't find so-and-so. What do you mean you can't find so-and-so? I just woke up. They're not here. Well, is his car there? That would have been my first thing. Is his car there? Is his car there? Like, what do you mean? Is his car there? What do you mean? What do you mean he's not home? Why are you up at 5 a.m.? Like, think about just the logic of life here. What do you mean he's not home? Where'd you guys go after the waterfall? You know what I mean? Like, the police call would be recorded. 100. Well, it depends on when she says she called the police. It's very interesting. Did you just call a friend that's a police officer? What'd you do? But nobody wants to talk about that. So I believe it's important. And so, lo and behold, you guys get to witness it right here. Let's just go ahead and insert Carrie Roberts says that she called the damn police. Wow, that shit right there. What else we got here? I'm just going to call the police. We call the police. I just think that's normal. Carrie stated she called a few hospitals and the Canton police to see if he had been transported at some point during the night. Then Carrie picked up Jennifer and Karen, and they began to search for John, ending up here at 34 Fairview. Canton Fire began to transport the victim to Good Samaritan, and Karen, who was now sitting in Carrie's car. Interesting. When you're interviewing Carrie? So basically, did you swap positions then? So Karen, who is now sitting in Carrie's car, began to act out, yelling and screaming, "Is he dead?" and trying to get out of the car and walk around. Interesting. At this time, I advised Carrie to take, okay, let me back up. Karen was hysterical and continuing yelling, "Is he dead?" I kept reassuring her that Canton Fire was doing everything they can to save his life. She was in the back of a cop cruiser. This is what's transpiring. I asked how John ended up here, blah, blah. And at that time, Lank arrived. So basically, he probably got out of his vehicle to go talk to Detective Sergeant Lank. At 6:24 is when this guy arrived, Detective Sergeant Lank, 6:24. So at 6:24, it's really important. So you talked to Carrie, or I'm sorry, you talked to Karen right as Detective Sergeant Lank was arriving. He arrived at 6:24 there. I put it here as well. Think about this. Okay, so now he wants to say that, oh God, Canton. Okay, at this time, Canton Fire began to transport the victim. So we know that happened at 6:30. The Canton Fire began to transport the victim to Good Samaritan. As that's happening at 6:30 then, which coincides perfectly, Karen, who was now sitting in Carrie's car. So she got out, basically what he's saying is she got out of his car and got into Carrie's car. Began to act out, yelling and screaming, is he dead? And trying to get out of the car. So she gets into Carrie's car, then she tries to get out of Carrie's car. At this time, I advised Carrie to take Karen home and that she was not needed anymore. Moments later, I was contacted by dispatch. How in the world would dispatch know about anything? But moments later, I was contacted by dispatch that Karen was making suicidal statements to her father over the phone. Dispatch my fucking tits. This is fucking wild, man. Absolutely crazy. Moments later, I was contacted by dispatch that Karen was making suicidal statements to her father over the phone. I made the decision. I, Officer Goody, right there, boom. I made the decision to have Carrie bring Karen back to the scene and had her transported to the hospital via Section 12. Oh my God. Detective Sergeant Link at this time contacted the homeowners at 34 Fairview Road and completed a supplemental report. I spoke to Officer Seraph and asked him what he observed arriving first on scene. That's all you're saying. Seraph stated he saw a woman, Karen. You got two people now. Karen attempting CPR on the victim in the snow. This is the first responding. This proves what I'm saying. That Jen McCabe was not over the body when the first responding officer arrived. Seraph stated he saw Karen attempting CPR on the victim in the snow. Seraph stated Karen had blood around her mouth, which he believed was from the victim's mouth and nose area. He never said anything about seeing these other broads. Seraph explained seconds later, Canton Fire arrived on scene and took over medical care, and moments later, I arrived, meaning Goody. Boom. There you have it. So important. You have your first responding officer stating that those people were not standing over, did not see them. Okay. And why is that important? Because I am showing you that O'Keefe's phone was moving and right here. Jen's moving. His phone starts moving because she took it and she moved and booked it when she started making the 911 call. Period. And the first responding officer stating this, that, you know, unless you're going to sit here and say that, Goody didn't just add that part in. You know what I mean? No. Doesn't matter if you didn't add it in. It's just more, it's impeachment. Now, just so you know, anybody out there that is saying that the Alberts were not talked to, they 100% were talked to in that house, according to Canton police. Okay. Well, I don't know how Jen was in the earshot of anybody, to be honest. I think more or less she's just fucking lying, but because she's moving all over the place, and Karen isn't. Karen's in cars. Karen's. But guys, how crazy is that? Think about this. This is important. Dispatch. How can dispatch contact? Where did dispatch get this information that Karen is making these suicidal threats? That's really important. That's how they bring her back to the scene and get her blood, alcohol, all that stuff tested. They lay the lie. They lie. This officer was right there. Did you hear her saying anything like that? No, I did not hear her. So he's going to testify to. I didn't hear her. I heard over dispatch. How the fuck would dispatch know? There you go. Exactly. Check it out. Take a closer look right here. Officer Link was called by Officer Good. This is at 6:08. and told the situation and stated that it was a Boston PD who was in grave condition. 608. Now, can you believe it that the first responding officer, this is all the first responding officer said. I was dispatched to 34 Fairview Road for a report of an unresponsive party in the snow. When I arrived, I saw 3 people on the ground over the victim. This is a supplemental report. Waving at him. 3 people waving at him. They said he was not breathing. They were performing CPR on O'Keefe. I noticed Reed, Karen, the victim's girlfriend, had blood on her face from doing mouth to mouth. O'Keefe was bleeding from his face. I went over to the victim and felt his skin, and it was cold to the touch. I asked if he was a drug user, and they said no, he is a Boston cop. I went to get the AED from my patrol vehicle, and at the same moment, the Canton Fire Department was arriving. CFD took over the care of Mr. O'Keefe. Following that, Karen kept screaming, "Is he dead? Is he dead?" She was severely distraught and was not able to tell me what happened. I tried to console her and keep her out of the weather. I had her sit in one of the cars. See, immediately, Sergeant Goody arrived and started speaking to the parties that were there. Period. Period. Now, that's funny because your buddy Good, when he says he talked to you and what you told him and what he put in his report is that you only saw 1 broad, not 3. There you go. Now, Officer Mullaney was assigned to the patrol, the East Sector. At approximately 6:05, Officer Seraph and I were dispatched to 34 Fairview Road for a report of an unresponsive party. Upon my arrival, Canton Fire was arriving on scene. Seraph had already been on scene. When I exited my cruiser, I observed a female party attempting CPR on the victim in the snow. As I approached the victim, Canton Fire began CPR. I then assisted Canton Fire with lifting the victim onto a stretcher. The victim was taken by the stretcher to the ambulance. You guys, this is so important. This officer, Stephen Mullaney, does not see a phone, does not see a phone on the ground, nothing. More importantly, he states right here that he observed a female. At this time, Officer Sheriff had asked me to assist in getting witnesses' information. So I then spoke with McCabe, Jen. I asked McCabe who the victim was, and she identified the victim as O'Keefe. All these additional reports are going to be so important for the fuckerage that's going on. John then explained to me that a group of people had gone out to the waterfall, yada, yada, yada. Jen said that she was called by approximately 5. Now, during this conversation, okay, so this is another way to pinpoint on the timeline here. He says, while he is interviewing McCabe, so McCabe then told me that she called or was called by, Karen at approximately 5, wondering if she knew where John was. At this time, Sergeant Good arrived on scene, and the victim was transported to Good Samaritan shortly after. While talking to Jen, Karen was hysterical and distraught and repeatedly screaming, "Is he dead? And that's my boyfriend." Sergeant Good then advised Roberts to take Karen home. And after Karen and Roberts left, Canton Control advised officers that Karen was making suicidal statements to her father. Roberts then brought Karen back to the scene because she was asked this. Now, my question is how in the world, okay, what officer had Carrie Roberts' phone number to just call her up and say, "Hey, can you bring back Karen?" How does that happen? Who called her to say, "Bring her back"? Because that's what the police said. They say, "I advise Roberts to bring Karen back." Oh, how? Do you have her number? No, I asked who. Carrie had Albert's screenshot. Albert's called. Now, what would be amazing here is to see Karen Reed's phone records to see if Karen Reed was talking to her dad. I'm just curious if she was talking who, like, just curious about that. Jen sent screenshot to Carrie. Oh yeah, she definitely did. But take a look now. Let's take a look at that screenshot. We know the screenshot happened. Look at this. All at the same time when all this is happening. Okay. Jen phone records. Jen called Brian. House long die, blah, 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 blah. We all know what the fuck. Finishing up with talking to Karen in the back of his cop cruiser. His link was arriving. She's Googling how long does it take. I mean, this is all literally all happening at the same damn time. You actually look at this like on a blow up and you're like, what was everybody doing? Okay. Well, this was all happening at the same time, which was Jen called Brian Alberts. Jen deleted that from her phone. Then she's Googling. Then as this is happening, literally, they're finishing up taking Karen Reed in the back of the cop cruiser. Officer Lank arrived on scene. John's phone, meanwhile, is just walking all over. 173 steps, beginning at 6:26. Jen's watch begins walking all over 190 steps, 6:28. So where the fuck, she's nowhere near Karen. Okay. Unless you're telling me that they're all walking together and hand in hand together, up and down the street. 6:30, the ambulance leaves. 6:30, Karen Roberts was talking or taking Karen home as John was leaving the ambulance. 6:32, dispatch. Canton Control hits up Good, who advised him that Karen Reed is on the phone with her dad making suicidal threats via, I don't know where that came from. 6:32. These guys would all know procedure that if we get her to the hospital, they're gonna take her blood. We're gonna be able to get her. We need to get her blood now so that we can show that she's drunk. Well, why didn't you take any of those other motherfuckers out down there? See what they were all on. 6:32. Jen's phone again, 177 steps. 6:28 to 6:36. 190. 6:36. So she goes up that floor right there. So she's like, fuck, he's not answering. I'm going to go upstairs. At 6:35, she goes up the stairs. Takes her 3 seconds to run up there. 6:36 to 6:43. John's phone, same time as fucking Jen, doing her 177. Just, 4 minutes after that she like gets upstairs, just 3 seconds, oh my God, they're coming in here. Give me that phone. Give me that phone. They want to talk to you guys. Give me that phone. I'll take it. Then she's running out the door. Wherever the fuck she goes. Think about that. Oh my God, they're coming in here. It's exactly what was happening. It's exactly what was happening. She ran up those stairs. Hey, they're coming. Where's that phone? Give me that phone. I mean, they must have just been flying all around that place. Sorry, I backed it all out so I could read it to you guys. But here we'll go like this. You guys can see it. Look at this. Canton Police. Officer Lang reported that state police. Okay, here, check this out. At the same time, this is when the call happens with Proctor. Okay. In Lang's report, 6:38, Lang contacts state police. CPAC unit was contacted and that Proctor called back within a few minutes. Right there, that's in a written report. The phone call was at 6:38 and said that Proctor called him back, called back just a few minutes later. Now, 6:43. I'm going to add something in here, but we'll go back over here. Whoops. Hello, Lana from Portland, baby. Woohoo, Portland. Look out. It's early for you guys. Again, hold on, everybody. Again, welcome to the transparency. Those of you guys that are here, hope you guys are having a great long holiday weekend. Going back to reading something for you guys. At 6:08, Sergeant Good, Sean, called me, hit me up at 6:08. This is me, Officer Lang, okay? AKA detective. So at 6:08, I was contacted at home. I was at my home by Sergeant Sean Good. Good advised me that a male party had been found in the snow by the area of 34 Fairview Road. Good stated that the party involved, who is a Boston police officer. Now at 6:08, guys, Good was on scene. Okay, so I believe that the 911 call did not say, they did not know until they were on scene that O'Keefe was Boston PD, per the reports. Now, when we get to hear the 911 call, we'll see what it says, but per the reports. Good say the party involved, it was in grave condition. and Canton EMS was on scene. The conditions at the time were blizzard-like with heavy snow, wind, and freezing temperatures. At approximately 6:24 a.m., I arrived, me, Officer Lank, detective. I arrived on scene at 34 Fairview Road, and Sergeant Good, Officer Sheriff, and Officer Mullaney had already spoken to multiple witnesses. And the victim was being treated in the ambulance when he arrived. So we can pinpoint also that. There's somebody else that talks about the ambulance, but just so you guys know, this is where I get the information that you have to pump in when anybody is so kind to put in the reports and timestamps. And he clearly went off of his the CAD to put that 624 when he did his report. The ambulance left for Good Samaritan Hospital shortly after I arrived. Sergeant Good made me aware that the officers and EMTs told him that the victim was bleeding from the nose and mouth. They also stated that he appeared to have swelling above one of his eyes. He's the only one that talks about this swelling. It talks about his, John's face. The first person that I spoke to was Jennifer McCabe. Come on down. So 6:24, he gets briefed. And the first person that he talks to after his briefing when he arrived at 6:24 was Jen. Now, Jen tells him the same story, except a piece is inserted here that I can't find anywhere else. Check this out. Jen was at the waterfall ball. Approximately 11 p.m. They were accompanied by, O'Keefe and his girlfriend, Karen. Approximately 12 a.m., Jennifer, Matthew, Brian, and Nicole left the bar and went back to Albert's house. Now, I thought about that. Did they all ride together back home? Because remember, Nicole was already downtown at 7:30 having dinner with her other sister, Nicole. Okay. And Brian, he was flying in, getting back, or drove, or whatever he did, New York. And so he didn't actually he came to the bar separately. Okay. But the way that she says these four together left the bar and went back to the Albert's house at 34 Fairview Road. I'm just curious, did they all ride together in that same vehicle? I believe that they did. Now, Lana introduced me to Turtle Boy, and wow, he is a powerhouse. FYI, he mentioned TNT Atlanta's timeline episode. I think if you contact him, he may come on. Oh yeah, no, we're gonna definitely do an explosive, like, let's just set off F-bombs. I'll just let him do all the motherfucking. The other night was funny to me. But yes, I'm glad that you, Carla, enjoyed it. I usually don't throw out recommendations unless unless they're worthy. I give props where props is due. I love people that are passionate, and I love people that work, their work ethic, and I love people that they're not fucking stupid. He's right. He has his First Amendment speech. I mean, I don't know if I'd be calling like Lizzie Proctor a twat, but he can definitely do that. Lizzie, I'm going to take care of your kids, man. Because your husband's going to jail. He's going to prison. And, I'm going to make sure that someone's throwing the ball with him. But fuck you. I was laughing. And then he's like, I'm not going to date you. What? Oh, man. Anyways. What's up, H-bag? I'm used to saying, what's up, D-bag? I got to say H-bag. Yeah, so the Turtle Boy's put a lot of time, and he's done a lot of great things. I mean, shit, look at Karen's getting out of limos like Johnny Depp. She's being applauded like the Bulls Game 6, Jordan. He's out there with a damn microphone. I dig it. I have a question. With all the power these people claim to have and they're connected, why not just chalk his death up as an accident and then just move on? You know, like just why did they feel like they needed to frame a Boston police officer? That's just going to bring more attention, or frame a Boston police officer's girlfriend who didn't do it, you know? Like, just cover up, it was an accident. Well, we thought he left. Yeah, he was here, and then he said he went to go get you. And he left. Well, because look at how, say he got hit by a plow, say anything, say that he, I just think that with the pull that they had and what's happening, that's going to be bought, and it's an accident. You know what I mean? So I guess that's the thing. I don't even think you need to blame it on a plow. You're going to be believed. Your PD, right? Yeah, he was here. I don't know. Thank you, Carla Cummins. Love you too, girl. Woo. What's up, Bella? They were originally going to blame the plow driver. I know, but I don't see any of that being needed. He came in, he went to the bathroom, he said he had to go back out to get his girl. We never saw him again. In fact, what's her name was calling him. You know what I mean? I just think about how crazy this is. How easy would it have been to just, still do everything that you did, but we're not gonna go framing Karen, and we're just gonna make sure that our family does not get blamed for this. Period. You know? They were drunk and not thinking straight. I think they were more than drunk, but that's just me. They were panicked, you know. But you could talk about people being panicked, but when you got it like that, you got it like that. You know what I think? I think they're stupid. I think stupid people do stupid things. And fuck panic. This is stupidity. This is pure fucking pitity. Because if you got it like this, clearly you do, because these motherfuckers are, the people that caused this are not the ones that are covering it up at this point. So you clearly had it. You had it like that. You had some, you had some pull. Well, you're just fucking stupid then, because you used your pull the completely wrong way. And now your pull just got fucked because you got Alan Jackson, you got Karen Reed has an army, and you stupidity. Stupid people do stupid things. It's just what it is. They get away with everything they did until now. Yeah. Anybody with a brain, you know, we're going to go blame Karen. Well, then what's going to happen? There's going to be an investigation, and there's going to be a trial, and there's going to be this, and there's going to be that. Fucking, what are you thinking? What do you think? She's just going to be like, oh my God, yeah, I totally did this. I totally beat the shit out of him. I scratched him. I bit him. I was just punching him. He just stood there, and then I just fucking ran him over. Think about it. All these people are cops. It's 2023. All these people are cops. Y'all know you have phones. Y'all know you have all this data. That's how all these crimes are solved nowadays. The fuck is this? Is stupidity. Like, think about it though. I'm sorry. When you to become a cop, okay? These aren't. You got the good cops, they're the ones that became cops because of their passion, okay? And you got the shitty cops that became cops because they couldn't do anything else. That's fact. By me. And the ones that love their job and are passionate and want to help people, okay, just like the good nurses out there versus the lazy nurses that, clock in, clock out. These are stupid cops, in my opinion, and they became cops for all the wrong reasons, clearly. Because it's one thing if you say to yourself, okay, we'll ask him to fucking cover this up. We're not going to fucking frame an innocent person. That is a shitbag. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing if, Jesus, this is going to ruin the rest of his life. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Like, you're still a shitbag for, what you're about to do. But framing an innocent person, wow. That's just, you went from being a stupid cop to being the devil. Human beings that are good people don't do that. That's what it is. They watched him have a seizure, convulse and vomit, and still did nothing. And what's crazy is that those people there had the ability with like their training to help him versus somebody just, that, young and experienced person. No, these are people that had the training to save that man. They just picked the wrong one. I mean, Karen Reed's family. Can you imagine though if this happened to a girl that didn't have money or didn't have it's wild. Think about if Karen doesn't have the type of representation that she has. Sad. And then my question is you got this prosecutor that's just he's sitting at his ass waxed. The only reason I want there to be a trial is because I want to see a complete ass waxing. That's the only reason I want a trial. Literally the only reason. They are going to get crushed. And I would want to see it. Then, because what as a prosecutor, I'm not prosecuting this case. I'm not prosecuting this. You guys got yourselves into this mess. Get yourselves out of this mess. I'll just bury it and not prosecute you, but I'm not going to prosecute it. I mean, how the fuck did I get all into this? Like, if you're the prosecutor, think about it. Like, where you're at right now, you have a chance to just listen. We're going to withdraw. We're going to dismiss. We're going to pull back the charges. Barry fucking Morphy's charges were Like, who wakes up in the morning if you're the prosecutor just like, oh my God, my life, oh, it's so good. Look at me. No. Prosecutors get tunnel vision. Fuck tunnel vision. Do you read the paper? Do you get Twitter? Well, now he's got Jen Coffindaffer. Woohoo! Jen, please. I did the work, and I'm not going to be like Turtle Boy. I just want to look at the data, and I want you to see the data. And as an FBI person, you should be eating up this data. You should be looking at this data and saying, okay, where'd you get it? What's your methodology to put this like this? I took it from every single fucking report, okay? I took it from phone records. I took it from the digital data. And then the minute that she's going to say, well, this is clearly not, he was in an ambulance, Lana. I'm going to ask her how Murdaugh was found guilty. It's because of the digital evidence. They didn't say, oh, this is just not accurate. This is not accurate. This is how digital shit is how people get fucking arrested and then be convicted. But you're just going to ignore these facts. And then as a female, Jen, I just have a question. Ms. Coffindaffer, like, does Karen Reed, does she come across to you as like a killer? Somebody that was just highly functioning. Somebody that was highly functioning with all these, problems with her health. I'm just going to run over my boyfriend and leave. And then you see the car backing up and you see that it hits his car. You don't see that? Are you blind? Because you see it. You see it. You fucking see it. And that's not at all suspicious to you that happened. And that incident happened at 5. And it's the same side that if nothing else is wrong with the car, just nothing's wrong with his legs. How does one make it in the FBI saying that stuff? And then I realized you fucking are saying shit because you're getting paid. I don't get paid to have an opinion. My opinion is what it is. I don't get paid. Somebody isn't paying me. Mainstream media isn't fucking paying me to be a correspondent to go with a narrative because that's what I'm getting paid to do. You guys think that Jen Coffindaffer is getting paid? Is she on payroll? If you're going to go on someone fucking channel like T fucking Rev, which clearly you gave him a new publicist or something, because that motherfucker couldn't spell for shit. Now all of a sudden after Jen Coffindaffer gets on his channel, he can all of a sudden spell. Woohoo! Just had to say that because that's just wild to me. The people that, but I get it. I wouldn't want to fucking debate me either. Fuck it. I wouldn't want to debate me. At least I will let you talk. I'll let you have your say. Because I want an honest opinion about how you would look at this if you were in a courtroom and just said that this is not sufficient evidence, that this is not problematic for the prosecution, because it is. Because I think 12 jurors are going to see it completely differently. And as a woman, Jen, it's unfortunate that you're representing us women, speaking the way that you are. Be independent. Have your own fucking brain. Use your own fucking words. Wendy? Huh! Fuck Wendy. I cannot believe that you say that you are an advocate for women and you're talking about someone getting raped in fucking prison or jail. Like, who says that as a woman about another woman? Who says that? How does she have a fucking job still after you make a comment like that? I want to know that. How the fuck do you hire? How do you still have a job? That's how people get fired. I just can't even believe how you would have a job still. I just can't even believe it. And any women that support that, I think that's just so sad. Who would ever think about somebody getting raped in prison? Let alone then fucking write it. That's insanity. That's insanity. And people out there, I think it's so funny. Oh man, I can't have Lana on. Like, shit. You know how much fucking baggage comes with that? What are you talking about? At least I'm fucking educated and I ain't gonna fucking make you look like a stupid fuck. That's what I say. Oh, Lana wears hats. You should be happy that I wear hats because if I am on your channel and I don't wear a hat, I will take the spotlight. I don't want that. I want my work to shine. I don't need my looks to make my work shine. Fucking wears a hat. I think every athlete wears a hat, plays baseball. They're making millions. I just hear the ridiculousness of like, oh, well, then all the trolls are going to come or some shit like that. I was like, what are trolls? There's trolls everywhere. Shit, I think that Wendy was getting trolled like a motherfucker. I'm just saying, I would love to have an educated debate because these women that are speaking out about these cases, it's bothersome. You're making other women look bad, and I'm not happy about it. Do some fucking work and have, like, if you want to say something, stand by your word, not these opinions that are just Wendy, I'll go shot for shot with you and fucking point by point with you. Then you'll be on the floor. Same with Jen. Even though I can respect your career, I don't have to respect what you're doing now after your career. And I want to know how the fuck you're getting information, especially in the Idaho 4 case. There's a gag. There's a fucking gag. This case, there is not a gag. But it's just, I just can't believe it to think that these women, like, have you ever put the shoes on of other people to say, how would you feel if you were in, don't you think that you would care if you were in Karen Reed's position right now? Don't you, wouldn't you want a fair day in court? Would you want your fair shake? Do you not believe in our Constitution? I don't think you do. I don't even fucking think people know. I don't think they went to government class. I don't think they know shit about what our rights are and why we have them. And then nobody has any fucking common sense. Like, common sense out the window. Logic, whoa, what's that? What's logic and reasoning? What is that? So it's, by the way, the C stands for Cleveland. It's not Canton. It's for my fucking Cleveland Indians. They're not the Guardians. They're the Indians, but whatever. Why does everybody want to cancel history? Like, history's history. History's why we're better. History makes us better. We learn from our mistakes. Just don't erase it. You learn from your mistakes. You don't erase. Stupidity. I feel just really bad for Karen. I feel bad for anybody, you know. Usually the people that I do this for are people that are black and males. So, but Karen is worthy of the time on the timeline. But these people, they just look like idiots when they talk, especially if you see the facts. Idiots. So approximately 12:14 a.m. Oh, look at this part. John texted Jennifer and asked where they were going. Jennifer responded that they were going to 34 Fairview. Moments later, a vehicle pulled up in front of the house, which Jennifer believed was the Keith and his girlfriend. Yeah, lies. When have you ever had friends come over? Okay. I have friends over, we're hanging out, and I'm just staring out the window. Well, I'm just be hanging out, just looking at the window, looking at the cars and what they're doing. I would have no idea when somebody fucking pulled up. You wouldn't know that. Did you see the layout of that house? Like you're not just standing in the fucking foyer area where the stairs are. Like, who the fuck does that? All the gathering in that house takes place in the back of the house, downstairs. Just fucking stupid. Who would ever believe this? Who does this shit? This isn't logical. We were all just watching, and then you saw the fucking... I was able to look out and see in the snow that there was tracks. What? Approximately at 1:30, Jen and her husband leave the house and get a ride home to Julie. So in this statement, there is no mention of another person. So approximately 1:30, Jen and her husband leave the house and give a ride home to Julie Nagel, who lives on Highland Street in Canton. Approximately at 4:53 a.m. Well, why don't we talk about what Jen did between 1:30 a.m. and 4:30 a.m.? You guys know what Jen was doing? She was running the marathon, okay? She must have been on a treadmill, and she was fucking preparing for the Boston fucking marathon. Okay, that's what she was doing. What do you mean, Lana? Because she was up all night, probably because she blew a line or two, and she's just, I said, you know what? Let me see her. I want to see her heart rate and shit. Let's look at her steps, but let's also look at her heart rate. You know, when's her heart start getting a little, I got a little pressure on me. But yeah, she is just literally running all over on her phone. If I was drinking and partying all night, I guess you could say, when I would get home, I'd be tired and I'd want to go to sleep, or I'd fuck. And I don't think she was having sex unless she was like, I don't know, up against the wall, like walking in place or something. Unless they were having wheelbarrow races going around. I don't know. You'd be sleeping, okay? You'd be sleeping. But that's not what this broad was doing. And then I want to compare it to her other nights. Like, what's somebody's pattern of behavior? Are they up all night? Are they on their phone all night? And but guess what she does? She just fucking wipes her whole phone. What? Yeah. Like, who does that? Approximately at 4:53 a.m., Jen was contacted by Karen and Kaylee. They were distraught. Well, okay. I have a question. My next question. Let's go ahead and put this in. 453 timeline. Who is Mr. Beatty? Beatty? Who is he? Anybody know? Anybody know who? I bet Tom. Anybody know who Tom? Is that his name? Tom Beatty? Beatty. So, never once does Jen ever say that she called John. Jen called John. I don't know, something like 17 times. What? 17 times? You guys know that? I was calling him. Like, never says like, oh, they were supposed to come in and then he didn't. And then like, I just, wait, what? Where are the calls? Oh, I deleted them. You did what? Deleted them. Deleted them. Tom Beatty, daughter is friends with Colin Albert. Well, Tom is allegedly John's friend. This is the first phone call that Jen makes. That all people, she gets off the phone and that's who she calls first, is this dude, Tom Beatty. And look at this. John's phone, all these times right here. 12:41, 12:41, 12:41, 12:43, 12:45, 12:46, 12:47, 12:50. Okay. This is Jen just blowing up. Jen McCabe calls John. Jen McCabe. Miss. All her. All Jen. She doesn't tell the cops that she called him fucking, 17 times. But stops at 12:50. Why? Why was she blowing him up like this? Because she just had seen him. Because he came into the house, ran in, immediately hit the floors, in the house, or gets out of his car to start walking at 12:21 and 5 seconds. Then he is taking a flight of stairs at 12:21 and 10 seconds. Okay. He is done doing his flight of stairs at 12:24. And within that is 80 steps. Then John and Jen do not move from 12:24 to 12:31. She doesn't move from 12:25 to 12:35. Literally, it has 0 and 0 for a reason. Because guess what? They didn't move. They were sitting there talking to each other. He came in. I believe he had a pee, like most people do when they're drinking. He had a pee. He goes to the bathroom after he first comes in. They're talking, but here, neither one of them are moving. John's phone doesn't move for 5 to 6 straight minutes. Jen's doesn't move, including her watch, for 10 straight minutes, during which she calls John at 12:29, which she claims is a butt dial. by the way. Okay. Jen can't be walking over to the door during this time period because she's not walking to see anything. Okay. Like she tries to tell the police officers. All right. This is fact. You cannot argue this. She has her watch on. She has her phone. Even if she didn't have her phone on her, she has her watch on her. She does not walk anywhere from 12:25 to 12:35. John does not move, does not do anything, 12:24 to 12:31. According to Jen's phone records, at 12:29, Jen called John's phone for 9 seconds, deleted it. John's phone answers Jen's call. Jen texts John and says, hello, okay, at 12:31, which is super, super fucking interesting to me, that time, because that is the same time at 12:31 that John's phone begins to start walking and taking 36 steps. Again, she's sitting down when this would all be happening. So at 12:31, he stands up because he starts to begin walking 36 steps. She texts him, hello, which I believe she then tries to say that this happened at 12:41. And now that's going to be interesting to me. 12:31, John's phone. 12:35, then she starts to move. Jen's watch, 148 steps. Now, what I believe from this is when she says, Jen texts John and says, pull up behind me. Why she is doing that is for one of two reasons, which is somebody else is coming over there and you accidentally texted that person, or he left the house like he was about to at the 12:31 and started taking the steps. Okay. And because he had to go get Karen. And so she texts him and says, just pull up behind me, when she says that, because I do believe that she saw the vehicle. I do believe she's like, where the fuck, just pull up behind me. Do I believe that that's possible? Like, where'd you go? Like, she's sitting down at 12:35. Make it bigger. She begins to start moving at 12:35, 148 steps. At 12:40, she texts and says, pull up behind me. Then now check this out. Now it's impossible for Jen to say that she saw, hold on, Karen Reed's vehicle, because at this time where she says, pull up behind me. Want to know why at 12:40? Because John's phone at 12:41 receives a call from Karen, and it goes straight to voicemail. Not straight to it, but it goes to his voicemail. And in the background of the voicemail, you hear the garage door and you hear her heels. So now I am able to 100% confirm that this pull up behind me, okay? And she says she's looking out there. So I don't know if, for example, which makes sense to me, I got to kind of put in this Colin Albert, right? This fucking meathead. Man, where does he come in? Where does he come in? This is where he comes in my opinion. If I was to walk outside and go to a vehicle that I thought was my girlfriend, but it in fact was not my girlfriend, if it was somebody else's vehicle, okay, could I be going up to, if I'm just, I don't know. I'm only saying this because if all these people have black SUVs, which a lot of them do, I don't know how drunk he is. Did he go up and he was like, what the fuck? Oh, you're not Karen. You know what I mean? and then they interacted that way, or when John begins to take his steps at 12:31, all right, that he went out the back door because they were in the back area, and so he just went out the slider and was just gonna walk that way. Was he confused? Again, I don't know. He's never been over there, but that's where he would have encountered the dog. Because guess what? When Brian, Albert, and them got home, guess what he says he did? He took his dog out. He took his dog outside. And then he brought his dog back inside, which I believe he said because his dog was barking. Okay? So, but something that I can prove is this. There is no way that it is possible that she saw Karen Reed's vehicle. Okay? There's no way that she saw this vehicle when she said she was like, pull up behind me. She couldn't have been looking out the window, okay, and saying that and seeing Karen Reed's vehicle. Because Karen Reed is already back at 12:41 at John's house via a call. Okay. But what we can do to impeach this motherfucking woman is, you said you looked outside. And you said you saw an SUV. Well, Karen's SUV was here at John's. So whose SUV did you see? Who else drives SUV? Who else was there? Who has SUVs? But more importantly, if Karen Reed would have hit him, when you looked out, did you see him on the ground? You would have known what he was wearing. If you're saying you can see that SUV, you'd want to spin this on her because she's claiming she had visual. Well, spin it on her because the visual that she clearly had was not Karen Reed's car. And what makes sense with this whole Nagel guy when he saw Karen, okay? I personally believe that if the phone call was made at 12 o'clock to come pick up the girl, they got there at 12:15. I mean, how long do you think he just waited for his sister to come out? Well, it would have happened like quickly, right? So I think all of that stuff happened way before. So when he says that he saw somebody and he drove past and they were like, 10 and 2 or whatever. Yeah, that's when they first got there. But this is proof that you're fucked. Now, what also makes sense to me is that why would she continue to call and call and call and call and call like a fucking lunatic, right? Because she doesn't see John and she doesn't see the vehicle. Like, where the fuck did you go? You were just in here. Like, where are you? You know what I mean? That's why you'd be calling somebody like that. Because I was just having words with my friend, and then all of a sudden I can't find them. And people could say, oh, they were looking for the phone. I believe that she legit had conversation with this man. He was just supposed to go outside. He was just supposed to come back inside with Karen. Like, where are you? Like, I would be calling, like that would just be a weird interaction. You know what I mean? Like, what's up? Where you at? So much so that all of this is going on, these phone calls. So let's go back to what Jen wants to claim. It's not what the data shows. She doesn't talk about, she's like, at approximately 12:14 a.m., texted and asked where he was going. And so all they said was that in this original report, McCabe never tells this officer, she says, moments later, a vehicle pulled up in front of the house, which makes sense. I think that car was really close because he didn't take that much time to run inside. She observed as the vehicle just sat out in front of the house for several minutes. The vehicle was facing uphill with the passenger side facing the house. She thought that the vehicle sat outside for at least 15 minutes. Think about it. If you arrive at 12:21, 12:21, if you add 15 minutes, you're looking at 12:35. Okay. And I said that I thought that it would be like a 6-7 minute drive to then get over to where John lived. Okay. She could take her 15 minutes, and she's accurate with that. I believe that Karen Reed was not there for more than 15 minutes. No way. Because if you do the math, she did stay. She stayed for a little bit, because if she would have just dropped him off, pulled out of there right at 12:21, and drove, she would have been at the house getting into the garage at before 12:30. So I believe that she did wait there. But she, in my opinion, left right around 12:33. She's walking in at 12:41. And that fits perfectly with the Nagel story. And it basically, they just left one after another. And if you think about it, if she's getting ready and she's 2:10, she's about to leave. Okay. I don't sit like this in my car while I'm waiting for somebody. But if I'm about to go drive, then I'm about to be in my driving position. And so it would have been like a boom, 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 leaving type of thing. If you want to even say that those motherfuckers are telling the truth. But that 12:40, there's no way that she saw that vehicle. Karen Reed was not there anymore. It's impossible at 12:40 for that to be. Pull up behind me. And remember, we can always text people that the wrong people. Next is shame on these people. He says that approximately 6, Roberts, McCabe, and Reed locate O'Keefe in the yard. He was located on the left side of the yard, about 8 feet in from the street. He was unconscious on the ground, laying on his back. Roberts began to perform CPR. And I said, this is really interesting here, Link, because who told you that it wasn't just a typo, Approximately 6:04 a.m., 911 was called and placed to the Canton Police Department. Officers on scene were able to secure the scene as best as they could as the weather conditions continued to be severe. State Police CPAC unit was contacted at 6:38 a.m. Trooper Proctor called back within just a few minutes and was made aware of the situation. So Proctor was made aware of the situation. It is in writing right after 6:38, and it's on my timesheet. Then, while on scene, all attempts to speak with Reed were unsuccessful. She was hysterical and difficult to control. The only statement that she was able to relay to Canton officers while on scene, and this was never going to fly because they're going to say, were you there earlier, were you there behind, was that she did not remember ever being at 34 Fairview Road. Reed later made statements via telephone to her parents, threatening suicide. I cannot believe that is even in there. Canton EMS ultimately responded back to the scene, and Reed was taken to the hospital under a Section 12 order. Next, I went into 34 Fairview Road and spoke with the homeowner, Albert Nicole. I went into the home. Now, I put this on my timeline to feature because this was after Karen Reed and Carrie came back allegedly to do this whole we have to. So all I need to see here is here. See, Canton Police called. The Canton Police. Right here, where's Jen? Jen goes flying. Jen, 6:38. Jen's watch, 91 steps. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming. They're coming in. They're coming inside. He says he's coming inside. She has to go and run and go say that. Because then what is this? Then what do I find out? Why do I believe this? Because in his report, he says it. Officer Lank says in his report here, next, after this all happened, I called, Carrie Roberts is back. We got the EMS. They're going to now transport via ambulance, okay, under Section 12. Next, I went into the Fairview Road home and spoke with the homeowners. Both parties from this point forward will be referred to by their first names. Brian said that he had seen the victim at Waterfall Walk. He said that he did not know the party well, but knew that he was a friend of Jen's. Brian and Nicole recalled that the victim had been welcomed to their home. He is stating that he knew that he was welcomed and invited to the home. What he testifies to with the grand jury is that he did not know that he was invited. Do you understand this? This is in fucking papers. So Brian Alberts is admitting that at 6:40 in the morning, he's talking to police, Officer Lank, and said, yeah, Jen invited him to the home that night. Well, that's ironic because I thought that he said that he didn't know that he was invited. Exactly. I thought that's exactly what he said to the grand jury. This is not what he said to the Canton police. Canton police don't do the cover-up, guys. The cover-up comes from the state police, 100. That's where the cover-up comes in. When asked about O'Keefe's demeanor, no, there was no problems. Fine at the bar. Jen and Matt also stated that they observed. Now, see, this is what's interesting. In this line of interviewing, when asked about O'Keefe's demeanor or if O'Keefe had any altercations with anyone earlier at the bar, why would he be asking that? Why are you asking about any? There's a like that. You would want to ask that question on the stand. You asked the family that lives at 34 Fairview if O'Keefe had any altercations with anyone earlier. Why would you ask that question? Because of the condition his body was in. Because he looked like he just went through fucking Mike Tyson round 5, right? That's why you asked him that. You didn't ask if he got into an altercation with a car, did you? No. You asked if he fought anybody. Brian said that he seemed to be fine at the bar and there were no issues whatsoever. Then Matt also stated that he had observed the vehicle pull up out front of the house, but never saw it. So Matt was there being interviewed at the same time as the Alberts. When did Matthew McCabe, when did he show up? Well, got to put him in. Matthew McCabe. Here we go. Could be before this, but at least. Let's see what else we got here. What's in this fun bag of tricks? Let's see this way. O'Keefe seemed to be fine at the bar, and there was, I'm sorry, Matt also stated that he observed the vehicle pull up out front of the house, but never saw either party get out of the vehicle. Now, Matthew also reiterated that Brian said what Brian said. John seemed to be fine at the bar and that there was really nobody else in the establishment other than their group. Next, I asked Brian and Nicole who else was at the house that night, aside from the names already mentioned. The following people were present at some point during the time in question: Brian Albert Jr., Caitlin Albert, Julie Nagel, and Brian Higgins, who is a friend of Brian Albert Sr. They advised me that their daughter, Caitlin, left the house around 12:15 a.m. when she was picked up by her boyfriend, Tristan Morris. Why was that even said there? Allegedly. Interesting. While on scene, Lieutenant Gallagher, Good, and I attempted to retrieve as much evidence as possible, given the weather conditions. Okay, so was this after or before you talked to the, the Alberts? It was after, correct? You're going in order of the things that you did that day, correct? Chronological order, correct? So You say that you got a leaf blower. Where did you get this leaf blower from? Do you have a leaf blower in your car? We were able to use a leaf blower to blow away the top layers of snow. We were able to observe a broken drinking glass and multiple patches of red, which appear to be frozen blood drops. 6 samples of this substance was retrieved by using red Solo plastic cups. Where did you get the red Solo plastic cups? The broken glass was retrieved and bagged into evidence. Did the broken glass resemble that of dark or light colored glass? So was it in the form of like a Corona bottle light or like a Bud Light bottle dark glass? Damn. This is just wild shit, right? Some wild ass shit. The fuck collects evidence like this? How is any of this going to be admissible? At approximately 9, I was contacted at the police station by none other than Jennifer McCabe. What? Yeah. She asked if it was possible to come back to 34 Fairview Road and speak with her. So Lieutenant Gallagher and I, we both left immediately at 9. And we went back to the house. So the scene, there was like, so if you were at the police station, you know, there was no other police officers there because she had to call you back or she would just talk to somebody else. How did she call you? Did you give her your card? Okay. Did she call your personal line? Did she call the police department? Did she call 911? McCabe told us that she recalled something that she was not sure if we were aware of. She said that when Reed was driving around with her and Roberts looking for the victim, this is the first talk about hitting him. I hit him. Did I hit him? This is the first 9 o'clock in the morning is when it's this guy and his partner were called back to the house at 9 o'clock in the morning because Jennifer said, come back. Well, I went ahead and just looked at Jennifer, what she was doing with, like, was she running around? What the hell was she doing from 7, 30-ish until 9? What was John's phone doing? You know what I mean? So let's see what I got. Oh, I have to transport it from my other drive. We'll do that later. McCabe told us that she recalled something that was not sure if we were aware of. She said that when Reed was driving around with her and Roberts looking for the victim, she said something to the effect of, God, I hope I didn't hit him. Jen told us that she made these statements again at the scene when the victim was discovered. She thought that Reed may have made these statements in front of a police officer, but she was not sure. No, she didn't. Not a single one of those Canton officers fucking wrote that shit. Nobody did. Nobody wrote that shit. You called them back at 9 o'clock in the morning to perpetuate this fucking narrative. Like, what the fuck? So Good makes this statement, which is Jennifer stated Carrie and John were at the bar together, and then around 12:15, John texted Jennifer asking her where they were going. Jennifer invited them to the house. A short time later, Jennifer stated that she saw Karen and John pull up in their car and saw the passenger door open, but they never came in. And she saw the car drive off. And she saw the car drive off. She saw it drive off. Okay. Let me tell you something. That is fucking so important. Because it's exactly what she saw. This is Goody, when this is the first officer that I believe actually talks to Jen. And in this statement, she says that she saw the vehicle drive off. She saw that the passenger door was opened and that she then physically saw this vehicle leave. Her initial statements to this officer, Officer Good, it's in a report. This is so important because he wrote it up. Jennifer invited them. A short time later, Jennifer stated that she saw Karen and John pull up in their car and saw the passenger door open. That happened. John got out. But they never came in, and she saw the car drive off. That was your mistake right there, honey child. And it was said to Officer Good that you saw the car drive off because you did, because she did drive off. And she did not hit anybody when you saw her drive off. Okay, she wasn't in some like reverse, go forward, go reverse, 27 miles an hour. Let's just fuck this motherfucker up. The fuck you saw it. You saw it. Did you see her hit anybody? You told the officer that you saw her leave. Boom. There you go. Officer Good. I mean, I just highlight myself. I put it in there. That is what she said to him right when he arrived, and that Jen walks up. She introduces herself. And she says it to Canton Police. In this report, she does not say ever once to this officer, she's explaining it all, at 12 a.m., Jennifer and her husband left the bar, heading to her brother-in-law, Brian's house. Jennifer stated Karen and John were at the bar. I mean, it's the same old thing, 12:14, that text, okay? But here she slides in that she saw her car drive off. And that's going to be huge for Miss Reed. I walked over to Karen and asked her who she was and how she ended up here. I also placed Karen in the back of my marked cruiser. This is the first guy that talks to Officer Good, is the first person that talks to Jen. I spoke to Sarf and asked him what he observed arriving first on scene. Good says. Sarf stated he saw a woman, Karen, attempting CPR on the victim in the snow. Not three women waving and acting like fucking complete fools. Good's report is the only report that you're going to find that she saw the car leave. Okay? And that's important. So right here. Damn. That'll be a wrap right now. We'll stop there. But the bombshell today was, if you were here in the beginning, Karen Reed placing that phone call at 12:41 and hearing the garage and hearing the heels, and then seeing Jen McCabe's text message at 12:40 to say, pull up behind me. She could not have been looking out and possibly seeing Karen Reed's vehicle. Karen Reed was not there. Also, she knows that she saw Karen Reed pull off. So why would she tell Karen Reed after she saw her pull off to tell John then to pull up behind him? Get the fuck up out of here, okay? But you're going to be able to prove all of this. You have to go back to the Canton reports, put your timeline together based off of the Canton reports, and then start stemming off where the lies and who, what they knew they needed to clean up. You guys have a great day. Love all the mods. On your way out, if you liked the video, thumbs it up. If you did not like the video, thumbs it down. You have an opinion. Make it known.
It's November 29th. For people that were murdered, and you won't fuck around. You got 8 families that are being affected by this, and the biggest name, nobody from the university.
Shock value. And so what he did was he had taken pictures of California.
Oh, you're from I would be outraged if I lived in Moscow right now. I'd be lighting some cars on fire out there. I'd be flipping some cars. I'd get the frats going wild with me. Let's get some noise complaints going.